had a great group of guys hunting. Had Adam BUCHMEIER, who was gonna help me run camera. Typical Adam BUCHMEIER, running late.
Morning.
Morning.
Sunshine.
How's it going?
It's going.
He apparently set his alarm, woke up in the morning, turned it off, and fell back asleep, just subconsciously or whatnot. Then woke back up about 15 minutes later, half an hour later. I don't know, we'd been giving him a couple phone calls, that might have helped actually. But he says nope, he woke up on his own and met up with us a little bit late. But we waited for him. Ethan Benson and his girlfriend Danielle Barry, and then other two good buddies, Kyle and Kenny Ham, were with us. So we were excited to try and hit some birds in the morning. Only about 100 birds, as I mentioned, was using the field, but we figured it was one of the better chances we had, so we gave it a shot.
Home for the next couple hours.
Home for all as always this time of the year.
I've got all the decoys and blinds and everything set up in the field with plenty of time left to give us an opportunity at these birds. So the field that we were hunting didn't have nearly as much cover as we thought we would get. We got out there plenty dark still, started looking at how we wanted to set up with the wind, and we realized that the cover that we saw from the road wasn't necessarily what we had when we got into the field. There's quite a few weeds. So we ended up setting up using the weeds to our advantage, or how we thought we could use them best we could, but we didn't want to risk it. We had 6 guys to hide. The birds weren't sitting in that area of the field the night before. They were about 50 yards off. It ended up being pretty good. First flock of birds came in, I think it was around a dozen or so, and they ended up catching us, or they didn't want to drop in. They knew something just wasn't quite right. So they took 2 swings. They were in range. We could have shot them, but it would have been some far shots. They ended up working off. We were kind of bummed about that and wasn't quite sure how the rest of our morning was going to go. Then the next flock of birds that came in was around another dozen or so. And they dropped right in, set, didn't even take a pass. Saw the decoys, set, locked up, and came right in.
Go here. Good drill, boss. Good drill. Let's go.
And we dropped a couple out of that flock. They ended up working their way off, and right behind them immediately, another flock of birds came in. Birds came in a little bit high, but we weren't sure if we were busted or not, so Ethan called the shot. They were still pretty high. And Ethan didn't have his gun loaded. Danielle didn't have her gun loaded. She's in the blind next to Ethan. Kenny, Adam, and Kyle all come out. All 3 of them come out of their blinds, just ablazing. I think they all got 3 shots each, but they were straight up high. Birds were right above them, and they ended up dropping quite a few out of that flock. If you look close, you can see Adam shoots, yells, "Whoa," as a bird's falling. Danielle is covered up in her blind, tucks and covers, because she knows that this bird's coming right at her, and I mean, it falls and smokes her. Ethan, right away, her boyfriend rolls out of his blind, asks, "Danny, are you okay?" And luckily she was, nothing major. Goose ended up falling right on her shoulder, and she took it like a champ. That was when the birds were starting to add up. Things were looking good for us. It was really great watching the dogs work. Kyle Ham has a great dog, whistle trained, retrieving machine. And as you can see, really good dog, very well trained, gets the job done, saves us a lot of missed birds. Bella, that's Ethan and Danielle's dog, another great dog, listens, has a great nose on it, finds us a ton of birds. So 2 really good dogs. It was great watching them work. They did a good job.
But I think you guys dropped a lot more than 6.
There was more than 6 down.
Yeah.
Well, who cares then?
You check. There's 1 in the blind here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's better.
Oh, that's 7.
Here's 8.
I'm sitting behind the guys, so I had a little bit of a different vantage point than they did, and I look out and all I see is locked up birds. I mean, low and a couple hundred yards out, but low. They were committed right off the bat, so I yelled to the guys, holy cow, birds coming, duck into your blinds. They were committing good, definitely weren't seeing us. We had plenty of good cover where we were. Those weeds that we kind of tucked our blinds into were helping to our advantage. Birds weren't even taking a swing, they just would commit from hundreds of yards out and come locked right in.
Here. Here.
Man, those birds came around hard.
Here. Go, come on.
Our blind doors are open too. Hug it in Eagle.
Normally our second weekend is our better weekend of early goose season here in central Wisconsin. It seems like we always do a little bit better on the second weekend than we do on the opening first weekend. So we got that coming up. Brian is coming up, gonna hunt a little bit with us, and I'm excited. I think we're gonna have an even better weekend than we did this weekend. See if we can't get a couple more birds knocked down and get her done here in central Wisconsin, junkie style.